All right, in this segment, we are going to see the biblical references, some of the biblical references of environmental ethics. After the biblical references, we are going to see that what the Christian writers taught about the four models of ethics, especially dominion model ethics and stewardship model ethics. They come under fire. Many thinkers from the 15th century, 16th century onwards, they examined what church taught about dominion model ethics, stewardship model ethics. Some of them accepted it, some of them forcefully rejected it. So that kind of examination of these environmental ethic models is absolutely necessary in order to assess the validity, the genuineness of such ethics. So that will be very interesting. Some of the great thinkers, they say Christianity is wrong. We should really find some other religion. It was known as the time of Reformation, when Protestant churches, they fragmented themselves from the mainstream Christianity, Catholic Church. So it will be very interesting to look what made them to separate from the mainstream. So before that, what does Bible say about environmental ethics? I was talking about it much earlier, about Bible's mindset. I thought it was anthropocentric document, and also God is only for Jews, and that God is not meant for all. That's the kind of impression you get when you read the Bible, because it is the God of Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, etc., etc. But when you go deep inside the Bible, it is much different. It is not at all anthropocentric. It is biocentric, ecocentric, creation-centered. Bible is not only dominion model or stewardship model, it is also creation-centered. Some parts of the biblical writings, they go to deep ecology model, all the way penetrating. So actually, all the four models of ethics could be traced out from the text of the Bible. But for our references, we go to deep ecology model ethics. That is the references what we are looking for. Book of Genesis, and we read about Noah. He built an ark to save all species and animals. Animals are plants and animals. The ark contained seeds, plants, grass, insects, elephants, giraffe, large animals, snakes, all of them. So God asked Noah to build an ark and save the biodiversity. So Noah is portrayed as a man of conservation, the first environmentalist, eco-warrior, one who preserved all those beautiful things of nature. Today we see butterflies. We should thank Noah because Noah saved them. Today we thank for peacocks. It's of Noah's efforts that we see peacocks, tigers, all those beautiful creatures, king cobras, etc., etc. Also mosquitoes, Noah saved them. And also You know the woodpecker. Woodpecker is a dangerous animal when you take him on a boat. He can put holes to the boat. But yet, Noah risked taking woodpecker on board. So he saved all kinds of species. And at last, he comes back after the flood and God comes there. And God makes a covenant with three equal partners in dialogue: humans, animals, plants, whole of creation. So God is not only dialoguing with humans. Bible is not anthropocentric. It is creation-centric, biocentric, ecocentric, deeply ecological, creation-centered model of text we read in the Bible. Then we come to book of Job. Book of Job contains some of the beautiful insights on environmental ethics. Job, especially the book of Job, chapter 12, we read, ask the animals, they will tell you. Ask the fishes of the sea, they will teach you. Ask the birds, and they will proclaim that who created all of us. So in other words, learn from the creatures. Learn from the creatures. Job was a very anthropocentric man before he became a leper. You know the story of Job. First he was a wealthy man, then he got leprosy and he was thrown out of the house, and at last he got healing. At last he got back all the wealth and he lives happily ever after. In the beginning he didn't understand how things work, how natural world works. And he was asking God so many questions. Why this? Why sun is rising in the east instead of rising from the west? Why mountains are pointing towards like this? Why mountains you didn't create upside down? Why didn't you put oceans on the top, put the sky at the bottom? So this kind of questions he was asking. He didn't understand the natural world. He didn't understand the importance of abiotic stuff and the biotic stuff. And also he had a difficulty where he belongs. What is the position in relationship with the rest of creation? What is the role of humans? He didn't understand. So the book of Job gives you full education about ecosystems, about biomes, about producers, consumers, decomposers, about hydrologic cycle, everything. It's a kind of like a scientific document, systematically analyzes. It's a big book. Many people read the first 2 chapters and the last 1 chapter. That's it. In the middle, they don't go because it takes you deep inside of the natural world. And God and Job, they dialogue, lengthy dialogue. It's amazing. If you are really curious about the natural world, this is the biblical book you have to read. You have to read. You take time to read. You set a time, okay, 1 month I will take. Every day I will read 1 chapter. Don't try to read 2-3 chapters. You won't understand. Read 1 chapter. Try to grasp. What does it contain? So book of Job, it's a very good, insightful, environmental, ethical resource. Then we go to prophet Jonah. The book of Jonah is the smallest book in the Bible, but it contains the deeper insights. Only 4 chapters. It's unbelievable. Actually, God is educating prophet Jonah. In that process, chapter 4 comes very handy. Chapter 4 really talks about the reality. You know, prophet Jonah did not obey God. God told him, go to Nineveh and deliver a small SMS for me. What is that SMS? Short message system. In 40 days, Nineveh will be destroyed. That's it. That is the message he was supposed to deliver. Instead of that, he goes to Tarsus, the other side. To the west, he travels in the ship, you know. Then they throw him out of the ship, and then whale tried to eat him, and at last the whale couldn't swallow him, so the whale spitted him out. The whale could have spitted him out in the middle of the ocean. The old man would have died. But the whale had empathy and compassion on the old man. The whale came to the shore and spitted him out. So now this old man picked up the pieces and walked all the way to Nineveh. At last he delivers the SMS. Nineveh will be destroyed in 40 days. And then he didn't like the way God treated him. He was angry with God, and he was sitting in the sun expecting that God is going to destroy Nineveh. So he felt like he came for a festival, and he is going to also witness the fireworks, which will start any time now. So he was waiting for fireworks in Nineveh. So there will be big fire and everything will be destroyed. So he wanted to see Nineveh is destroyed, because they were not Jews. They were pagans. Because Jonah was a Jew, he thought this God is only for Jews. But how can this God can support non-Jews? That is the question. He was very angry. So now he is sitting under the sun until evening, because evening is the fireworks. So he is waiting. At the same time, sun was so hot, he was cursing God. And God makes a small plant, a creeper plant, and he gives him a shade. Now Jonah is sitting under a plant. He is relieved. He is so happy. While he was beginning to enjoy the coolness of the shade, God sends a small insect. The insect comes and cuts the plant. The plant dies. Again, the sun is scorching on him more than ever, and Jonah's anger is pushed to the extreme. So angry. And he yells at God with bad words. At last, God himself comes and asks him, Jonah, what is your problem? Then Jonah says, you are the problem. You say that Nineveh I will destroy, and you will not destroy it. And you will say you will destroy it. And you will say you will not destroy it, but you will destroy it. So he was arguing with God. And then God is asking one of the insightful questions. Jonah, what are you talking about? Then Jonah tells, this plant, what did it do? Did this plant do anything wrong? It grew up and it was giving shade, and you sent an insect to cut it out. That died now. That I feel very sorry for that. Then God is asking Jonah, did you plant that creeper? Did you plant? Jonah says, no. Did you water it? No. Did you grow it? No. Then God is asking, you are worried about the plant which you did not plant, you did not water, you did not grow. Then God says, I planted it, I watered it, I grew it. So then God says, if you feel so sad for the plant which you did not grow, how much I will feel for the plant which I grew, I watered, and I nourished. That is the question. Really shocked Jonah. At last he is enlightened. Then God is telling him, you see, there are 120,000 people in Nineveh, not only humans, also animals and plants. When Jonah announced penance, 40 days, the people also did penance, and cattle, animals also did penance. You read chapter 4, it is so clear. Animals also did not eat, animals also did not drink for 40 days. So God was moved with compassion and mercy, and he did not destroy Nineveh. For the sake of creation, humans committed sins, animals did not do. So God chose not to destroy Nineveh. So now Jonah understood. So the book of Jonah is a very important book in order to make environmental ethics not only for humans and also for other parts, the non-living and living parts. Then we come to the New Testament, Leviticus chapter 23, that is Jubilee year. So here comes exclusively abiotic parts. Actually, the three references above, I would say it concerns about living parts, biotic world. But Leviticus 23 is completely non-living parts, abiotic parts of the natural world. The land needs rest. Once in 7 years, 1 year rest. And also it is known as a sabbatical rest. 1 day in a week you take rest and give rest to the land. So it is called Jubilee year, giving rest to the land whole year, once in 7 years. And also in 49 years, you give 1 to 3 years rest. That is the Jubilee year. So, it is amazing what Bible has taught on environmental ethics. It was an integral education we received from the Bible on environmental ethics. Now we come to New Testament. Jesus the Good Shepherd, John chapter 10, we already discussed about it. So now let us read some of the quotes. These quotes are kind of reaction toward the teaching of the Bible and also towards the teaching of the church. So it is sometimes, it has got a very negative connotation. It's very, very critical in some places. So the reaction in the past was not good at all, sometimes very extreme. Animosity, that is the emotion you find in some of the quotes. Rejection of the entire teaching of the church on dominion model ethics and stewardship model ethics. And people simply go to the creation-centered model ethic. So that kind of feeling you will get from these kind of quotes. They are very interesting. I think you will enjoy these quotes. Dante Alighieri, the Italian poet, writes as follows. Actually, when there is ecological crisis, if you don't act, if you don't choose to do something about it, he calls it, that is the moral crisis. Probably you will end up in hell for that. So that is a very interesting quote. The darkest place in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality in times of moral crisis. So today, ecological crisis is the moral crisis. Yes. If you don't act on that, if you don't fix the problems of the ecological crisis, you will end up in the darkest place called hell. Now we come to the Reformation, the 16th century. It was a time of ethical protest against dominion theologies. Yes. It's a protest against the teachings of the church on dominion theology. Majority of the people did not like it, what Pope was saying, especially in Europe. Reformation was born in Europe. You must have heard about Martin Luther. Everybody knows him. So he was the superstar during the period of Reformation. They were against that text called Genesis 1:26, the image of God, God granting dominion, the interpretation of dominion as plundering, exploiting, controlling, domineering. This kind of interpretation, majority of humans in Europe, they did not agree. And there was a great shift in the way of life in Europe. Actually, ecclesiastical supremacy. They did not accept Pope as the supreme leader. So the supremacy was ended. That's why they are called protesting religions. They were protesting against the mainstream Christianity, that is Catholic Church. They were protesting against. That's why they are called Protestants. Protestants. And also Renaissance. Renaissance is the time when great number of poets and artists and sculptors appeared, like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. This all happened in the same time, like 17th, 16th and 18th centuries. Also French Revolution. Really, French Revolution threw away the teachings of Christianity. Pope, cardinals, archbishops, bishops, everything they did not accept. They wanted to kill all the priests. In France, many priests were murdered. So this is the outcome of Reformation and Renaissance. And they wanted to find a new form of ethics because they were not satisfied with the traditional models like dominion and stewardship, etc., etc. Here is John Calvin. He is another great architect of Protestantism, like Martin Luther. So this man from the 16th century, he talks about image of God. And he is arguing, image of God, it may be true or it may not be true. Actually, but imago mundi, the image of the soil, that is true. In Bible, it is called imago Dei, image of God. Imago mundi means he is the image of the soil, image of the world. Actually, Adam came from Adama. Adama means soil. Because he came from Adama, he is called Adam. He came from the soil. Actually, there is another word for soil, humus. That is the word, humus. Humus, humus. So human came from humus. Adam came from Adama. So John Calvin is telling that we are from the soil. Don't think you jumped from somewhere else. You are made from some heavenly stuff imported from sky. No. You are made up of the dirt which we call soil. So please read the quote attentively. I will read it for you. You just focus on the screen and think seriously about each word. If God had formed us of the stuff of the sun or the stars, or if he created any other celestial matter out of which man could have been made, then we might have said that our beginning was honorable. We are made of mud. And this mud is not just on the hem of our gown, or on the sole of our boots, or in our shoes. We are full of it. We are nothing but mud and filth, both inside and outside. I mean, nobody can put it so bluntly like John Calvin. That is the real us. That is what we are. We are imago mundi. Of course, Bible says we are imago, image of God. That may be true, but in reality, imago mundi, that is what we can understand easily by looking at our bodies. Carl Linnaeus, we already know him through that 5 kingdoms of life. He is from the 18th century, and he talks about the intrinsic value of every creature. I mean, these people are all examined the teaching, what church gave them. They examined, and then they found, when they found truth, they accepted it. When they did not find truth, they questioned it. And when they didn't agree, some of them rejected it. So here, Carl Linnaeus is admitting that all creatures, they are very important. So here we see the starting of the creation-centered approach, model ethics. Carl Linnaeus, he writes as follows. The Swedish botanist who points out that every creature has its allotted place in the general economy of nature and no conceivable place stands empty. Each species serves to support others in this intricately connected web of life. Actually, he started the binomial nomenclature, which means the kingdom, subkingdom, phylum, genus. That classification is known as the binomial nomenclature. His work called Systema Naturae, that proposed lenient taxonomy. Actually, I call it a poetry, that classification, binomial nomenclature. I call it a poetry. I will show you in the next slide how it looks like. Next. Look at that. I've given two examples, chicken and human. I mean, you are not different from chicken. Chicken also has the PhD degree and you also have the PhD degree. Both are same. Both are same. So this is the poetry of Carl Linnaeus. Kingdom, phylum, subphylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Look at that. The classification looks similar also in human. See, chicken is an animal and you are also an animal. Chicken in phylum is chordata. That means he has the backbone, and in phylum you are also the backbone. You are also chordata. If I put the monkey here on the left hand side, everything will be similar. Only the last species level we become different. Because it's a chicken, I think you don't find much, little difference. You find little difference. So subphylum is a vertebrate. We are also vertebrate in subphylum. I did not mark it. Vertebrate means we are all having bones in structures. So we are also vertebrates. And in a class, it's a Aves, we are mammals. Order Galliformes, and we are primates. In family, we are Hominidia. Genus Gallus, we are Homo. The last is Gallo domesticus. In species level, we are Homo sapiens. That's it. So this is a poet. So he has classified everything, every creature, whether it's a plant or an animal or a fungi or a protista or a monera. He has classified almost 2 million. 2 million means 20 lakhs of animals and plants Carl Linnaeus has classified. Even today we follow his classification. So it comes from a greatest mind that we are all equals. We are all made up of same stuff. We are interdependent. So I think Carl Linnaeus was a scientific proof to create a benign environmental ethics.